watching Captains of Industry here on CNBC Africa DSTV 410, and I'm chatting to Ben Magara, the CEO of Lonmin. December the 10th, 2016, President Zuma coming out with a relatively fierce statement saying that Lonmin may lose its mining license if it doesn't get the housing problem under control. Can you elaborate on the situation and how you are navigating this territory right now?
Bronwyn, thank you very much. It is indeed a navigation. When we received it on the 10th, on Sunday afternoon, I think I must hasten to say that this was an update from the President on what steps have been taken since the Falam Commission of 2015, when it finalized its report. I think it was June 2015. I really found that the President was factual in his narration of what Lonmin has done. Firstly, he clearly accounted for what we also have done, that all our legacy single-sex hostels have been converted by 2014 in time and in line with the mining charter requirements. So we had a big tick on that. Then he spoke about our infill apartments, and we have a program of infill apartments right now where we are generating possibly about 400 units of accommodation every year, and that program is ongoing and would replace the 5,500 houses that were promised some decades ago that were not done. And then he went on to say the Department of Mineral Resources has requested Lonmin to submit a plan, a housing plan for employees, which should be compliant to the requirements of the department. Failing which,
you would lose your license.
We would face cancellation or suspension of our mining license. I think possibly it was a run too far if I look at it. The reality is we have to submit a compliant plan that satisfies the social and regulatory requirements of the DMR. And I'm very confident that we are going to do that. We have already had lots of engagements with the department. We have had directives and thoughts and instructions. I have met the minister myself personally a number of times, talking through what that plan should entail, the details required in that plan. So I'm very confident that our consultation process, our engagement process is going to yield an outcome that we both, the regulator and ourselves as business, are comfortable with, and therefore the advent of the cancellation, I do not see it in the limelight.
Talking about the Department of Mineral Resources, the current draft legislation, the Chamber of Mines appears to be up in arms, saying that some of the clauses in that draft legislation could see the mining industry falling apart. Is that too dramatic?
There are indeed some very concerning comments and statements that are in that draft mining charter that would be concerning for anyone who really wants to see the mining industry in South Africa succeed. It's got lots of employment. It generates 50% of South Africa's economic income in terms of foreign exchange, foreign income. So I really believe it's in our interest and in the department's interest and the whole country to make sure that the legislation is enabling to making sure mining can benefit and can boom again. Currently, we are going through extreme low commodity prices, particularly in the platinum sector. So any little nail is unhelpful to our cause to make sure we are a sustainable business. So I am confident that despite all the real challenges we are facing as a Chamber of Mines with the Department of Mineral Resources, at the end of the day, as I've always known South Africa, we have this ability to get to a cliff and realize we are in this together.
Will you do you believe you'll see revisions to that draft legislation?
I believe we will see some amendments to that, and I believe that we will also see the Chamber of Mines and all of us acknowledging that indeed the journey of transformation has to continue. But it does not help to damage the goose that lays the eggs. And I think together we must find a compromise. And we will, because it is necessary for South Africa Incorporated.
What are you most concerned about that is currently being tabled in the Charter?
There are concerns around a revenue-based penalty. You would pay, say, 1% of your revenues. And those are challenges where in the current circumstances and environment, there are not many companies making profits. Therefore, a percentage on revenue is simply a direct impact on your costs. It is a direct impact on your profitability. And without a profitable business, we cannot solve some of the social problems that we are going through. And without profitable businesses, as of Lonmin ourselves, we have just retrenched in excess of 6,000 people. So if you are going to work another percentage on revenue, what does it do? And does it suddenly become clear that job losses are also now again inevitable? So I think we will find each other.
I look at the staff complement, some 38,000
employees.
Is that before the job cuts that you've
That
just
was
made?
indeed before the job
you're
cuts,
on
so we are now
32,000
33,000 people.
33,000
Indeed, that's
people.
very true. And that's a lot of people. And if you look at the linkages of all those people, we look at a family of 5, so you're now talking 150, 160, and now beyond that, multiply that by another 5 for the linkages of the industries that depend on mining and on Lonmin around Marikana. You're looking at no less than 400,000 people, South Africans, who depend on the viability of this business.
Talk to me about your relationship with AMCU, the majority union, specifically in light of the retrenchments that you've just spoken about.
Yes, it's been a very challenging and rough ride with AMCU. I joined Lonmin in 2013, a year after Marikana. We worked very hard with my team to find a common relationship. And 6 months after I joined Lonmin, we acknowledged and recognized the union as our majority union. We don't choose unions. Employees do that. But indeed, I'm also conscious that these employees were our employees before they became union members. Therefore, we have a duty to engage with them ourselves as well. However, after 6 months at Lonmin, and I love digging, that's my job.
You're a miner through and through, and we'll talk a bit about where you've come from.
So in reality, come January 2014, we went into a 6-month strike. Afterwards, we had to find each other. I sat down with the AMCU leadership, with my executive committee, and say, guys, maybe we are two alcoholics that need a moment with the AA, because this is not working. What should we stop, start, or stay doing for Lonmin to be a success? And do you think it's important for you as a union that Lonmin succeeds? The common ground was yes. The common ground, we need to share information. We need to create spaces for respect and care. We have done that. So fast track that to 2016 when we negotiated the current wage agreement now in place. Not a single day of strike happened. Come fast track that to 6 months later when we had to retrench, because if we didn't do that, we're going to lose 38,000 employees. So you have to sacrifice some, and that was the 6,000.
To maintain the viability of the overall business.
So it got to a space where I think these shared facts and routine meetings with unions, they became to appreciate the circumstances and financial circumstances of the business. So we retrenched the 6,000 people without a single day of strike. We went into a wage negotiation that we now have a 3-year wage agreement without a strike. So there is really a growing maturity in our relationship. It continues to be to take 2 to tango, and unions negotiate tough. So we do not take their space for granted, but I think we're finding each other.
Are we moving
in the
into
economic
a new era
realities.
when it comes to relations between labour and business? And let's throw government into
I think it's crucial that we're moving into a new era. There is indeed a new normal today. And that new normal says there's going to be more conflict. There's going to be more skills required to negotiate. There's going to be more skills to resolve some of these issues. The communities unrest that we're seeing, the service delivery protests, the political spaces that we are in, and indeed our union engagements and the rivalry between unions themselves. So this is the new normal, Bronwyn, that I really believe we need to step up our game as leaders to think through how do we find answers in these complexities. But I think the bottom line is, if we all see the reason for business to succeed, because only business can create jobs.
And of course we need jobs desperately in South Africa.
Indeed.
With the formal unemployment rate now sitting at an all-time high of 27%.
Indeed.
Let's talk a bit about Lonmin, and I'm interested in your personal story with this company. It was a challenge, as you say. You joined almost a year after Marikana. Many thought that the end was in sight for Lonmin.
Indeed.
What made you join this organization from the relative stability that you were enjoying, having been a long-term employee, a senior employee within the Anglo-American stable?
Bronwyn, I get that question many times, and people ask me, were you not reading the same newspapers that we were reading when we went to Lonmin? And indeed, I had a scholarship with Anglo-American. I worked in Zimbabwe for 4 years, then I came to South Africa in 1994. At a time, a month
One month before the election.
Before the elections. So tell me about challenges. I've climbed into many challenges that I felt I can make a positive contribution. So coming to Lonmin for me was really saying, yes, Marikana was a real tragedy. It was sad, it's unfortunate. But I also believed in the same vein that Marikana, as the metal we mine, it was a tipping point, and it's a catalyst for change. How can we find positive change? How can we make sure this never happens again? And if I'm not going to do it, if us as Africans are not going to solve it, who will? So I really went in there with that belief that if there are human beings there, because I believe we were human beings before we were employers, before we were employees, before we were journalists for that matter, we will find each other. And therefore the journey was, how do we embark with AMCU? How do we work with the majority union? How do we work with all the unions, Solidarity, UWASA, NAM, you name it, and some employees that are not even union members? Because I felt Marikana, everybody was a victim. The winner-take-all mindset that had crept in is unsustainable. So I really believed we could make that difference. So going in there, the journey for me was, how are we going to meet these employees? How are we going to find each other? And from the first day I arrived, I didn't go into Melrose, our head office. I went straight to the mines to really engage with the workers.
Fast track now to 19th of November 2015, and you announce a rights issue.
Yes.
That was executed on the 4th of December.
Yes.
And looking at the sustainability of Lonmin now versus that period where, again, the news headlines were dominated around whether Lonmin would survive.
Indeed.
How are you feeling right now?
I'm very happy. I'm very excited with what we have done. I'm very proud of my team and everybody who has supported us. I'm very thankful to our shareholders and also to our unions and every stakeholder and the banks, the lenders, everybody came to the party. I have to tell you that on that 19th of November, I remember reading one of the newspaper clips saying, "Rest in peace, Lonmin." It was an absolute near-death incident for us. I was clear, however, that the facts didn't lie. What was clear on the table, we had great assets. We have fantastic assets in that Bushveld igneous complex, in these deposits. We have perfect infrastructure. We are great, resilient Lonmin people that I'm still proud to be associated with as I speak to you now. So we were clear that what we needed to do was to show the shareholders, show the lenders, show all our stakeholders what the right plan is and how we would get out of it.
It must have been an intense communication process.
It was intense as a communication process. We had banks, the 3 banks in South Africa, we engaged with them continuously. The lenders in the UK, 7 international banks, we sat with them continuously for many hours, lawyers, advisors, you name it. But I think it was clear to me is, facts don't lie. If you have got the right facts, you'll come to the right plan, and therefore it's up to shareholders to support it.
And the underlying value proposition, as you just set out, was there.
The underlying value was good. The resilient people were there. The great assets were there. The PGM industry, that catalyst is great for the world. If you want a better climate, if you want a better world with less emissions, you've got to go PGMs. So I think for us, the reality of the compelling vision and the compelling story around PGMs is strong enough. Lonmin provided a great investment opportunity, obviously because our share price was down. We were at that kind of cliff moment, and shareholders came to the party, gave us $407 million. The lenders gave us 370 bank facilities. We had to commit to cut costs. And that really was the next challenge for us. So having done that, having raised the money, the shareholders were very clear that in this plan we said we're going to remove 6,000 jobs, the minority,
which you've now
but
done.
The majority would be done. We removed that. We went around cutting costs. We closed high-cost production shafts. We made sure that we removed supply from the market, which I surely hope
You're the third largest platinum miner in the
exactly.
world.
We have played our part, and we expect everybody to do that part in order to balance the supply-demand issue. So we have done all the tough things. Today, I can proudly say to you, Bronwyn, I'm pleased that we have turned the corner. For the first 5 years, we have made a profit. We made a loss the last year of $134 million. We turned green and made $7 million. It's not a lot, but the delta, the direction of travel is good. So our aim and vision is, in this environment, we want to make sure we are cash positive in this low price environment so that we are ready for the upturn.
With your share price at around 24 Rand currently, are you under pressure from shareholders, or are they giving you the time to execute on the strategy?
Fortunately, I think we explained our strategy very clearly. They know where we're going. We want to make sure this business is robust, is flexible, has the capacity to benefit from the upturn when it comes, and it will. I have seen many cycles in my career. So that turn will come. And the shareholders appreciate where we are. So we continuously engage with them. I've just finished road shows the whole of November, visiting all these investors again and giving them assurance of where the plan is, that we are now cash positive, including CapEx, in this low price environment. And therefore, we are ready to stomach the low prices until they come and maximize benefit for our shareholders.
Let's talk about the low price environment. Currently, platinum is at around $920 an ounce, there and thereabouts. And you said that the cycle will turn. Yeah. Now, I'm a metal bull. I mean, I believe in, I know gold has a very different proposition to platinum, because platinum is this industrial metal used for AutoCAD converters, etc., and as you say, clean energy. It's an underpin to that. But what about the supply equation? Ultimately, as you say, you're hoping that your peers will pull in some of that supply so that you rebalance demand supply, and that would impact positively the platinum price. Are we not in a lower price for longer scenario?
I think we have to plan on the basis that the low platinum price are going to be here for longer. We have to plan on that basis and hope it turns earlier. And that way, our shareholders and all of us will benefit. So we have to work on the premise that they're going to be here for longer.
Is this your, if you look at your range, would
Indeed,
this
it
be
is
the lower
important
end?
that we are on the low. We are on the low end. We saw prices come down to about $850 last year. So I think we are in the range of that low price. And we have to work on our businesses to make sure we've cut the right costs. We are tightening every belt. We're cutting the capex is necessary. And we're making sure everybody is efficient and productivity continues to improve in this environment. And if we do that, the upturn is only going to benefit us even more. So the reality, yes, I think we all have to play our part in managing the supply-demand dynamics. We have seen recycling come into the system. Unlike coal, iron ore, you cannot consume platinum. It's in your vehicle, it's in my vehicle, there's 4 grams of platinum in there, and those 4 grams, we know exactly where they are in that exhaust. So when your car gets replaced, we're going to collect that exhaust and we recycle it.
Which means
which is another threat
supply
to supply.
Basically is being impacted by that recycling.
Exactly. So there's an impact on recycling. We've worked hard on autocatalysis. What excites me about autocatalysis is mainly that the world as we know it, India has just introduced more stringent and more stronger emission legislation. Europe has been there for a while. China has to come on board. South Africa has to come on board, and you name it.
Trump could change the game when it comes to the environment and climate change completely. Is that something you're concerned about?
I think the one thing I'm more comfortable with what I'm hearing is that focus on infrastructure is a focus on roads. Therefore, it's more vehicles coming through. The one thing in the cleaner world is platinum is beneficial to a cleaner world. So if you bring coal, if you bring vehicles, if you bring whatever you bring, platinum is the catalyst to help you to a greener world. So I don't think Trump is necessarily saying there isn't a solution, but actually the solution is not getting rid of the energy. It's not getting rid of coal. It's finding cleaner ways to use it. And platinum is one of those solutions. So I'm excited that there are benefits to that. So I think the long term for us, you spoke about gold and platinum. The challenge is that platinum in this environment, gold is a safe haven. People see platinum as a bit of an investment, but in a boom, the industry grows, platinum also grows. And we think that will come, jewelry will come, investment will come, fuel cells will come. But yes, in this time, we have to stomach and tighten belts.
What is the optimum price? Yes, obviously we'd love to see it go through the roof if you are mining platinum, but what is the optimum price for you to operate at?
People tend to talk about incentive price for new projects. The key thing is, where are the greenfields projects to replace the old and high-cost mines? And those kind of incentive prices to bring in a new project, I wouldn't bring a new project unless I'm clear that the long-term platinum price is possibly somewhere around $1,400, $1,500 an ounce. So right now, this price is unhelpful. If I look at the housing challenges I've got, if I look at all the challenges we have got, the social issues we'll need to solve, the dividends for shareholders who have been paying money for so many years, the platinum price is not in the right place.
Ben, you mentioned you've just completed a roadshow.
Yes.
I'm sure that investors have also asked you about the stability of the South African political environment. What is your response to them? Because obviously that feeds into uncertainty.
Indeed.
Investors don't like uncertainty, and it would rock not only business as we know it in the country if we were to see politics continuing to take the very public platform that it is taking. But it would also feed into instability in the mining environment itself.
Yes, and I would have actually thought that the instability would have threatened customers that supply is at risk and the platinum prices would get better. But that hasn't come through. So I hope it comes through.
I see, because 80% of the world's platinum comes from South Africa. Because
and
suddenly
it's
you
uncertain.
think, oh, constrained supply.
So one should actually be saying, guys, there's uncertainty here. We need this metal, therefore the price must go up. One would have thought like that. But however, let's come back to the investor conversation that you spoke about. I think indeed there are concerns. And in South Africa, you walk in the streets, everybody talks about it, and investors are no different. And they're saying, so what's the reality? What's the challenge? I think for me, it's really about who and what type of companies, what does it take to succeed in such an uncertain environment? And I think it comes back to relationships. What we've done, the immature relationship we've done with our unions and our employees is a sign of, with all those uncertainties, if you are able to navigate yourself, you will succeed. Whether it's Section 54s from the Department of Mineral Resources, it's about those relationships. Government and the uncertainties, there are many people calling different things about what they think are the solutions to the country. I think it's simply saying, South Africa is at another moment of a cliff, and we need leadership to galvanize each other again and say, guys, we're actually here for the same cause. Let's drive South Africa Incorporated. What do we want out of South Africa? So I think the uncertain concerns are a challenge. The credit downgrade has been a challenge. If anything else, hopefully the downgrade threat is galvanizing us to work
actually work together.
So there may be a positive driven from that. And I surely hope that
Are you working with business? Are you involved in the CEO initiative?
Yes, I am, and we are involved with the government and business, really to work together as to how do we find more solutions, tangible, short gains that people can see that we actually indeed are working together. And I think for me, this opportunity should not miss us about the importance of working together. Because as we deliver more, as we collaborate more, our people realize more, South Africa Incorporated improves, we will all benefit.
The biggest opportunity for Lonmin going forward, you've spoken about the turnaround plan, you are in the execution of that. Firstly, where is the value unlock going to come? So when will those patient shareholders reap the rewards of standing by you?
I think it's still in the long term. I think clearly we have robust assets, we have great people, we dig to improve lives, we dig this business, we dig Africa, and we really think that that moment will come. When is it? I think I would make a lot of money. But the reality is that I think it will come. And the reality is we are seeing supply-demand deficits. And we've seen that in many years.
But it is dependent on the platinum price.
It is dependent on the
change
platinum
of the
price.
cycle.
Indeed. And in the market sentiment. I mean, I think me and you are keeping our cars a little bit longer than we were a few years ago. So everybody is just being more shrewd with their money, more frugal with their money. It will turn. The reality is, the other part that I think is quite crucial is the level of underinvestment in our platinum mines. For the last 6 to 7 years, there have been extreme underinvestment in the supply in our platinum mines, in the replacement mines that we need. Therefore,
but that's because of the low platinum price.
Exactly.
The low
so
platinum
I see
price.
this low platinum price solving itself because the supply is going to continue to dwindle, and even if demand doesn't increase as fast, the supply drop is creating enough deficit.
And it comes back to economics 101.
Indeed.
Are you at Lonmin for the long term?
I am indeed at Lonmin for the long term. I'm excited about what we go through. There are complex challenges. They're there for us to solve. And I'm very excited with the team I've got, with the work we are putting in place, and the grounding we have done for the business. And indeed, we have to be ready for the upturn and maximize value for shareholders, because indeed we dig to make sure everybody, we want to create a shared vision. So when I walked into Lonmin, apart from all the things we have tried to do, we have said, let's acknowledge our past. Let's build bridges. Let's make sure that every stakeholder can say, Lonmin is a positive contributor to my well-being, therefore I want its success. And if we can get to that, then the concept of shared vision at Lonmin is what keeps me excited.
With your passion, it's difficult, Ben, not to go out and buy Lonmin shares today. I've been chatting to Ben Magara, the CEO of Lonmin. You're watching Captains of Industry here on CNBC Africa.